Hi there, this is Datila, and welcome to the Wrestling Time Post Show. And for tonight, I will be reviewing Impact Wrestling. Alright, so tonight's Impact continues to build to emergence, and we kick things off with Deonna Purrazzo versus Rosemary. Commentary making note that Deonna has never lost one-on-one to Rosemary. Alright, so throughout this match, Deonna kept targeting Rosemary's left arm. And one of my favorite spots in this match. Well, actually, I have two favorite spots in this match. The first one is when both ladies go for the pump kicks, but then they go down. And then I also like when Rosemary attempts to spear, but Deonna counters by putting Rosemary in the Fujiwara armbar, which I thought was a really cool spot. So Jessica, Havoc, and Taya are at ringside. Now, Jessica, last week, she wanted to go to Deonna's bachelorette party. Hence why Chelsea Green is not here, because I think she was planning the party. So Deonna tells Jessica that she's no longer invited, and she flips out and she tries to get in the ring, and Taya's trying to stop her. But by doing this, she's distracting the referee, meaning that Rosemary has Deonna pinned, but there's no ref to count because he's trying to deal with Jessica Havoc. And so Rosemary's like, "What's going on?" And or tells her to cut it out basically, and Deonna rolls her up for a pin, and she wins. And she goes like this because, of course, Deonna using her cleverness to beat Rosemary. So I actually am digging this whole character of Jessica. She's Jessica with the K because she's sick. So I think it's pretty cool. I'm digging the gimmick. Then we get an Honor No More segment. Okay, so the whole gist of this segment is that once again, Eddie Edwards is questioning PCO's loyalty. He's questioning whether he believes in the message of Honor No More. Now, Vincent is quick to back up PCO and to defend PCO. However, again, another seed being planted of Honor No More turning on PCO eventually. The question is, when are they going to turn on PCO? It's just a matter of time before they do. They're planting the seeds. And I feel like once that happens, when that betrayal happens, Vincent's gonna go with PCO, and I think they're gonna try to just do their own thing because Vincent keeps defending PCO. But what do you guys think? You guys think they're gonna kick out PCO and Vincent, or just PCO and Vincent's gonna willingly go with PCO? So then we get a quick Giselle Shaw segment, who says she's not avoiding Masha. She's just simply wanted a better opportunity to scout her competition. And she says Masha's only had 10 to 50-second matches, which the quintessential diva pays fine attention to the details. And the thing that I thought was so hilarious about this segment was the fact that, you know how Masha gives out those photos? She hands that to Gia, and Gia tells her, aren't you going to want this back? She says, and Giselle Shaw says no because her eyebrows are crooked, which I thought was hilarious. All right, then we get Digital Media Championship matches: Black Taurus versus Brian Myers. This match came to be because Brian Myers has been avoided facing Bhupinder Gunhar. And so, Brian Myers playing the cowardly heel to the T, trying to avoid Black Taurus for the first half of this match until he can no longer avoid him. But Brian Myers using a handful of ropes to eventually pin Black Taurus, which again, heel tactic perfectly executed. So as he's trying to leave, Bhupinder Gunhar grabs him and sends him back into the ring, and then he gets cornered by all three men, and he gets hit with the gargoyle spear. So this is going to probably lead to Brian Myers versus Bhupinder Gunhar. If not at Emergence, probably at the next Impact special. I think that's what it's finally going to lead to. Then we get a quick Jordynne Grace segment, who's just basically talking about saying how it doesn't matter who's across from her because it's going to cause friction. Friend or enemy, she's going to treat them like an obstacle. So in this case, she's referring to Mia Yim, who's just going to treat like an obstacle. So then we get Giselle Shaw versus Masha Slamovich. Props to Giselle Shaw for trying to defeat Masha Slamovich and for lasting as long as she did. I feel like this has been her longest match to date. I mean, she got some offense in. She got the elbow and the knee, but Masha would not stay down. And Masha kicked out of that. Now, normally Masha allows her opponents to kick out, but not this time. Wow. Like, but of course, once Masha hit that snowplow, I think we all knew it was going to be over for Giselle. She gave a valiant effort, but she came up short. And that brings Masha's undefeated streak to 14-0. And I honestly would like to see her in a program against Jordynne Grace. I think Jordynne Grace would give me Masha Slamovich a run for her money. I also do think that if that happens, Jordynne Grace would probably hand Masha Slamovich her first official loss in Impact. So then we get a backstage segment with Mia Yim. She's basically responding to what Jordynne Grace said about being called, about her calling an obstacle, calling her an obstacle. So Mia Yim says that she's more than just an obstacle. She's the end game. She's the final boss. Now Madison Rayne interrupts, and then Gail Kim shows up, and she makes a match between the two next week. Now before this, we had Impact's flashback of the week, which was the episode of that aired on April 5th, 2016, in which then Knockouts champion Gail Kim fought against Madison Rayne and Mia Yim, in which Mia Yim won, and by pinning Madison Rayne. So that's why Madison Rayne interrupted Mia Yim's segment, because she was not happy that they aired that segment. Then we get a backstage segment with Team Ragnarok, and Rosemary's basically upset that they have the numbers advantage but can't even use it because of everything that's going on. You got Jessica and not being Havoc, and she says that DK is family, and so she starts questioning whether Jessica is ready or not. And Jessica says that she's gonna be there at ringside. So I'm very curious to see what happens with Jessica with the K. So like I said earlier, I'm really digging this gimmick. So she accidentally caused Rosemary her match against Deonna. Is she gonna accidentally cause her match at Emergence? Are Team Vex gonna win the Knockouts tag titles? I'm very curious to see how this plays out. Now we get the Mortar City Machine Guns versus Violent by Design, and this came about because Eric Young wants Joe Dorian and Dino to prove their worth, to prove that they have reviled themselves of the sickness, and they're trying to get back in Eric Young's good graces. So this is how this match came to be, and I have to say they did a really good job at isolating Alex Shelley from Chris Sabin, but it wasn't meant to be, unfortunately for them. Mortar City Machine Guns won this match. And then, of course, post-match assault to them by Joe Dorian. Joe Dorian, like, grabbing Alex Shelley and Dina hitting him with the flag. Then Kushida comes out to aid the Mortar City Machine Guns, and you know where I'm going with this player. Eric Young comes out and hits Kushida with the pile driver. So, I think eventually we're going to get ourselves a 3-on-3 tag team match player. Holla. And so then it goes backstage, and Sabin challenges Joe Dorian and Diener to a tag match. It's going to be him and Kushida. And basically, Alex Shelley offers to help if they need a third person, because he's worried that maybe Eric Young might get involved and they're going to be outnumbered. Now, Josh Alexander interrupts and tells Alex Shelley that he wants him at his best. Just like how last week, Alex Shelley told Josh Alexander almost the same thing. And guess what happens after? We finally get a confrontation between Eddie Edwards and Josh Alexander. Ever since Josh Alexander won the title, there's only been one confrontation. It was right after Eddie Edwards had turned heel and joined Honor No More that he confronted Josh Alexander. And so with this little segment, I think they're putting the pieces into place for Eddie Edwards to be Josh Alexander's next big opponent, probably at Bound for Glory. So the whole reason why Eddie Edwards turned heel in the first place was because he felt like Impact overlooked him to face, first it was Kenny Omega and then Christian Cage, and he was upset that Josh Alexander basically jumped him in line and got that opportunity. So I cannot wait for this feud. This is going to be a very interesting feud, and I wonder what else they're going to use to build towards it. Obviously, they're going to use that storyline, but I'm very curious to see how this feud is built and how we get to eventually Bound for Glory. Then we get a quick match with Rajj Singh and Sami Callahan. I don't want to call it a squash match, but I mean, Sami Callahan did defeat Rajj Singh pretty quickly using that Cactus Driver 97 and then the crossface chicken wing, giving Sami Callahan a rare win by submission. And so afterwards, oh my god, afterwards, he calls out Moose and Steve Macklin. Steve Macklin comes out and Moose's entrance, the whole lights come off. He does the whole thing. But this is just a distraction to allow Moose to attack Sami Callahan in the ring. And then he attacks, then Macklin attacks Sami Callahan. And then Steve Macklin gives Sami Callahan a low blow. And then he gets hit with the spear by Moose. So obviously this feud is not over. And we still don't know why Steve Macklin is helping Moose. Unless I missed something. Because like as far as I know or recall, Steve Macklin has always been a Lone Ranger and he's always just done things for himself, never really caring about other people. So I still don't want to know why he's helping Moose. Like, what's in it for him? Maybe eventually somewhere down the road they'll challenge for the tag titles, maybe. So we got a couple of announcements. It's Killer Kelly is going to be making her in-ring debut next week. We got Kenny King versus Carl Anderson next week. We got Madison Rayne versus Mia Yim. And we have Speedball Mike Bailey versus Rocky Romero for the X Division title. The winner of that match goes on to face Jack Evans at Emergence. And then we get the contract signing between Alex Shelley and Josh Alexander. And then Steve Macklin versus Sami Callahan has been made for Emergence. And so before we get into the main event, we have a quick Bullet Club segment who the whole gist of this is their same shtick. Well, at least the same shtick of Doc Gallows, where he says a magic killer, a 1, 2, 3, and a just too sweet. So then we get to the Derby City Street Fight. It's Doc Gallows versus PCO. And Vincent comes out and he has a whole Frankenstein gear that he gives to PCO. So this was a good match. Good main event. Kind of reminded me of the Monsters Ball match that PCO had with Jonah. But boy, PCO is not human. He is not human. Like, the crowd started chanting for PCO, and it shows that he's over. So I can kind of understand why that storyline started with Honor No More and PCO. I should say Eddie Edwards and PCO, because it seems like Impact is aware that PCO is over. They probably want to turn him face. So they're going to have to kick him out of Honor No More, which makes perfect sense. Now, PCO, like, he cuts the ring apron with, like, a pair of scissors. He takes off, like, the padding and everything, and it's just exposed. And he tries to go for the deanimator, but Gallows counters and sends PCO flying into that exposed ring. But, of course, you guys know PCO is not human. Homeboy got up from that thing, and he took out a black glove, and he had like thumbtacks, and then he looked like the elbow drop. And Doc Gallows rolled into that hole that PCO had set for him, and PCO was victorious. So he's proving that he does believe in the message of Honor No More, and that he is proving his loyalty. Okay, so I do have an announcement. So, well, it's not an announcement. It's like an update, I should say. All right, so Impact announced that Bound for Glory will be taking place in Albany, New York, and not Danbury, Connecticut. But it wasn't always supposed to be that way. So Fightful Select reported that Danbury, Connecticut was landing the spot for Impact's Bound for Glory 2022 on October 8th. However, the company announced Albany, New York for the October 7th this week. The show is just 2 hours up the road, and we've learned why the change took place. WWE's Extreme Rules pay-per-view is taking place on October 8th. The company didn't want to go directly against their show. Instead, the pay-per-view was moved to Friday for the first time in the event's history. However, the venue wasn't available in Danbury for the nights Impact needed, so they opted to run Albany instead. So that makes sense. They didn't want to go up against WWE's pay-per-view, but now they're going up against SmackDown and Rampage. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, they can see, the thing is, like, Impact can have a really great show and with an awesome card stacked up, But if they're gonna go up against SmackDown and Rampage, I think a lot of people are gonna watch SmackDown and Rampage over Impact just because people are still sleeping on Impact Wrestling and not giving it the time of day. So I legitimately think that it's a bad move for them to be on Fridays. I think they should have done it on Sunday, but hey, it is what it is. But I cannot wait for Bound for Glory. The road to Bound for Glory is probably going to be a really good build, and I just cannot wait. So, but with that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for the support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I'll see you guys tomorrow after. If Rampage is live, then I'll see you guys tomorrow after SmackDown. Have a great night. Bye.